You see, what's the most interesting innovation you see in the industry today? But any examples of that?
I was going to say there's so many. Where do you start? I mean, everything from security being built into hardware so that systems are booting up secure and let's say impervious to somebody getting in the middle of that process. These cloud-centric technologies that, I mean, some of what I was describing earlier that effectively can monitor a cloud native application and understand connectivity patterns that the application is making to other applications or other pieces of that application, and understand whether that's a normal or an anomalous connectivity path. I mean, so, we think of that as securing containers, securing microservices. Those are, fascinating areas. And then, of course, the whole realm of cloud workload protection, right? The idea that you're not looking at like, I'm going to protect a single virtual machine. I'm going to look at an application with its logic tier, with its database backend, and treat that whole thing as a workload and secure it, with a policy and a desire for only not even the right kinds of users to be accessing it, but the right kinds of access patterns, period, whether that's between entities or that's between, human beings.
I was just gonna, the one thing that, I've seen, in terms of when it comes to detect and response, when it comes to, the most sophisticated clients that I've seen and the ones that have really, exceptional, call it world-class security, when it comes to the threat hunting and all of the, the external sources that you get data from, the forums, all of your searching capability on the dark web, all of the telemetry that you're bringing in, right? They're leveraging data lakes for this, right? And they are plugging in, your SIM technology to really do hardcore analytics with AI to come up with, these are now the playbooks we're going to live by. And the constant adjustments that you have to do to those playbooks. And, the threat hunters have been the ones, behind majority of this. And when they're seeing new things and when they're seeing new attacks and they're getting all of that data and they're plugging it in and they're leveraging the SIM to drive those hardcore analytics using AI. Those are the ones that, when something comes, they spot it a lot quicker than someone that doesn't use those type of procedures in place. So it always kind of, blows my mind when I go into organizations and I see that, and it's like, it's just well done.
The one that I think is really intriguing, but again, there is no silver bullets, is the whole XDR motion. The whole concept of, I want to be able to take data from all my different endpoints and my network and pull it together and look for threats that are hitting across the board, and also look to be able to, as a part of that automated response, go solve the problem. Simple example. Let's say that I'm I go in and my mobile device detects I'm on a bad Wi-Fi network. It's a fake Wi-Fi network that's been set up, right? But would it also be really cool to say, okay, hold up, this mobile device is now on the network, is my laptop, which doesn't have any detection capability of bad Wi-Fi networks. Or if there's a phishing text that I get, what happens to the credentials and how does that flow through all the system? This like you were talking about, Jamie, the ability for all this stuff to be in one place and to be able to deal with that and look for the things that matter and respond to it quickly enough to say, okay, you know what? Your laptop is sitting on the same Wi-Fi network. You're not getting access to the financial systems until you're off of that Wi-Fi network. That sort of cross connection, I think, has got some really interesting potential going forward.
This has been a fascinating conversation. I think maybe to wrap it up, I'd be curious for each one of you to share, like, what's the one takeaway that you want our listeners to hear? The one thing that you want to be thinking about in prioritizing?
You're not going to thwart every attack. That's just a given. So resilience is key. And let's just a very simple concept. Don't forget about just nailing the basics. Nailing the basics, patching. Nailing the basics, identity and access management, and PAM and MFA. I mean, these are things that I think all of us have been in here for so long are just the no-brainers. But again, you'd be surprised how you still don't see it out there in organizations. And so that would be just, I know it's more than one, Doug, sorry, but those are kind of the core things. And you got to nail the basics of security.
That's great. Thanks, Jaime. JT, your thoughts?
I am going to go back to, again, even though it's kind of trite, the right tool, right job, right person, right, problem. There are too many things happening to be experts in everything. And so working and leveraging across the industry and working and leveraging across your partners, I think is critical, so that you can actually, for those parts of the risk profile that you're trying to address, you can address it most effectively, because nobody can keep up with all this. You just can't. And so it really comes down to how well can we information share and partner together, and people stick to what you're good at and let the other folks stick to what they're good at.
Excellent. Johnnie.
I'll double down on that and say no public cloud provider can furnish everything that you need on security, period. End of story. Even one that's phenomenal as my employer. This is why we partner. This is why Deloitte and Zimperium are here. We don't aim to make all of it. I mean, a defense in-depth stack is going to span layers and layers. And the idea is to partner with the best so that we deliver holistic strategies. And if public cloud is not part of your security, your data resilience strategy, it should be. And we all, I think, welcome that conversation with you and hope to have it.
Awesome. Thank you, all three of you. This has been a really fantastic conversation. I hope our listeners enjoyed it as well. But thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it. It's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out other released and future episodes at oracle.com/trending topics. Also, subscribe to the Partner Perspectives podcast at oracle.com/podcasts. This series features trending topic episodes and other great partner discussions on their customer stories and related best practices.